Welcome back, Airbnb family. So my name is Donnie. I'm a 5-year super host, and I'm the host of one of our newest shows here where we interview Airbnb hosts just like you that started from zero, and now they've scaled their business to tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. One of the biggest questions we get on our strategy calls, and one of the biggest surprises that we get on the strategy calls, is that not only are our students surprised that you can start an Airbnb business without your own property, but that landlords are going to give you free rent to start the business as well. So today we got Roger Chan on the show, and he's going to talk to us about that. What's interesting about Roger is he's only been in the course for about 10 months, and he's already at 10 properties. His newest property, he got 6 weeks rent free, no damage deposit, and we're going to dive right in. So Roger Chan, thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So Roger, you have some meteoric rise. We've got tons of highlights we're going to go through. But first off, why don't we talk a little bit about you? Where are you from, and are you full-time Airbnb?
Yeah, actually, I'm full-time Airbnb. I'm kind of from all over the place. I grew up in the Army. My dad was in the Army. I was in the Army. Never really stayed in one place for more than 2 years at a time. And then I had some training in Texas when I was in the Army. And then I just kind of liked it so much. I was like, you know what, I guess I'll just come back when I get out the Army. And then I came back, and yeah, that's what kind of led me here.
So let's bridge that gap. You're in the Army, and then how did you end up even falling into Airbnb?
Um, that's a good question. I actually I started out when I first came to Texas. I didn't have any job lined up or anything, and I had no idea what I was going to do. So I was just searching job ads when I came over, and I just found this ad on Indeed for insurance sales. So I come from an insurance background, and the way I came into Airbnb was I had my own insurance agency, and we would go out. My team and I would go on these. They're called blitzes, and we would just travel to different states with a couple $1,000s worth of leads, and we would sell the lead door to door. So it's funny, on my way over to this blitz, one of my guys sends me a message. He's kind of like a serial entrepreneur, and he has like tons of side hustles. He says, hey Roger, check this out. It's this Airbnb business. It's rental arbitrage. And he sends me the interview of Brian Page and Grant Cardone. And I'm like, well, this is a very interesting business model. So I started doing more research, and I stayed out there for maybe, we were supposed to stay out for one week with me and my team there in Arkansas. I ended up making like $13,000 in my first 3 days there. So I said, you know what, there's no reason for me to be here anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I know we were here for 1 week. I just wanted to get back home and do more research on the Airbnb business because it sounded really good. So that's what I did. And when I came back, I was just searching online. I couldn't find much information. And so I said, you know what, just forget. I'm really good at door-to-door sales. I'll try to just find some landlords on Zillow and see what happens. So I probably tried to pitch maybe about 10, 15 landlords, crash and burn on every single one of them. So I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. So it turns out Brian Page didn't really have that much content, like solid content, online. And I found Sean's YouTube channel, and I was just like, man, this guy's got some really solid content for free that I can learn off of. So after I saw that, I was just all in, bought the course, and then literally 3 weeks after I bought the course, I signed 3 leases, and that was kind of the start of it.
I love that because I'm a door-to-door guy too. I spent 5 years in the field coaching, doing door-to-door. I sold water heaters door-to-door.
Nice.
So anytime you meet a door-to-door guy, it's like the trenches.
Yeah, it is.
What's interesting about this is we have a lot of people with sales experience who go out there and same thing, they just can't figure out how to talk to the landlords. What was it for you that even as a trained someone trained in sales, what really helped you gain clarity on how to close the landlords?
It was really having structure. I had no structure in terms of where I wanted to, like, how to direct the presentation. It was just kind of, conversation, playing it by ear, and just kind of going with the flow. There was no real structure to my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped, knowing how to approach the landlord, how to present, getting the lease concessions, the free rent, no deposit, how to present all of those things in a fashion where it not only benefits me, but benefits the landlord, right? So that's kind of like the heart of the sale, right? You have to have some type of transaction where it's not just the salesman who's benefiting, right? There has to be a benefit to both sides, and really learning how to present a beneficial transaction to both sides is what kind of really made everything just come together.
Yeah, we noticed it a lot from people who try and go out there and talk to landlords, and they'll just try and explain why they're so great, when really we teach students what's in it for the landlord. And at the end of the day, now that we're already in this business for so long, it's so easy to see that we bring so much more to the table than the landlords do. But when you're first starting off, it's hard to put all those pieces in place.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's like, at first, it almost felt as though, like, um, the landlord was doing me a favor by giving me the property, but now I see it completely different. It's just like, I'm doing them a favor. So like, they should be doing business with me. So the dynamic has just changed. It is just a completely different dynamic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you got your first 3 properties, I think it was, but they're all from the same landlord?
No, they were all from different landlords. And I, I just kind of, there's a quote, I think it's from, is it his name, Richard Branson? Is he the Virgin Records guy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it was him. It was something along the lines of, if you're presented with an opportunity, even if you don't know what to do, just take the opportunity and figure out the details later. So I
Very
didn't,
Branson.
being so new, I didn't know when was the next time I would be able to score 3 leases. So, because I wasn't completely 100% confident in the process. So I was like, you know what, I'll just take all 3 and just figure it out. Turns out I still have them, and they're very profitable, but just timeline wise, I at that time, I believe I only got 2 weeks of free rent on
Mm-hmm.
each
Mm-hmm.
property, and trying to furnish 3 like 4-bedroom houses in one like within 2 weeks is not a good idea. So I burned through some rent there, but I mean it worked out. I got them up and running, and profitable either way. So, but it kind of taught me like kind of have a better timeline to acquire properties, so that gives me time to furnish it and get it up and running.
I really love this because a lot of people who start with big bankrolls, I always tell them on our strategy call that, hey, you got to watch out for that because you're almost spoiled with too much money. And if you grab too many at first, you don't know what you're doing. This thing can turn on you so fast
Yeah.
because launching properties, it's a whole thing in and of itself. So can you give us a little glimpse of like what that was like, learning everything and launching 4-bedroom houses on your first go? That's tough.
It was really tough, actually. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. It was a first time go around too. So I was just, I would wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I like literally would be working on assembling furniture till midnight.
Yeah.
And I'll come back home and rinse and repeat the next day until I've got some semblance of progress. So just banging it out every single day. And it was very humbling. I don't do that now. I have like teams, systems in
Mhm.
place to kind of help me furnish the properties now. But I mean, it was a lot of work. But it was a lot of running around to like IKEA. IKEA doesn't have something, go to Walmart. Walmart doesn't have something, go to Costco. Costco doesn't have it, order it on Amazon. And I was still figuring it out. Did it work? Yeah. Did I waste a lot of time and money? Yeah. But like you said, it's when you start off with especially not knowing what you're doing, it's very easy to be wasteful with money. And but like I said, it worked out. I don't regret it. I still have those properties. They're very profitable. And yeah, I'm still learning to this day. I still make mistakes, so it's still a learning progress. So
Well, I love that. I'm going to get into that, especially because you're very active on the group, especially the way you use the program. So I can't wait to get into that. What do you do differently now? Now that you're 10th property, and again, you're not that far in the game, right? You're only 10 months in, but your
Right.
pace is almost one per month.
Yeah.
What do you do differently just on the startup now, and the build out now, that's different from when you first started?
The biggest difference is I have like teams in place now that can help me launch the property. So aside from things that are out of my control, things like, if the city is slow to set up like utilities, or like the internet company can't come out until like a week later, I try to schedule all those accounts, water, gas, electric, to connect everything on launch day, when I take possession of the property. But yeah, the biggest difference now is that back then I was doing a lot of the work, the manual labor myself, assembling the furniture, staging the property. But now I have my own guys who assemble the furniture. I can go out and grab stuff while they're building. I have my cleaners staging the property, making the beds, helping with the decorations and things like that. And so I'm able to utilize extra hands now, which I didn't have in the beginning. And I would say that's probably the biggest difference. So now I can get a 4-bedroom property up in about 7 days now. So I
Oh
mean, it's
yeah.
a lot more efficient now that way.
Definitely, definitely. There's something that I talk to a lot of hosts that are a little bit more experienced, and we always find that hosts run into big gaps when they hit about the fifth solopreneur, solo host, when they're hosting by themselves. Usually about the fifth property, that's when the wheels come off the wagon. And why that is because you're trying to do everything yourself still, which is great for the startup phase, but not good for the growth phase. And so I always tell everybody, you need to switch it from doing it yourself, from the what to the who. Not what do I need to do today and work another 12-hour day, but who who do I need to bring on? Who do I need to talk to? I feel like you've really accelerated that whole process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you only have so much time by yourself, right? There's only so many hours in a day, and I would say a big part of that is, a lot of people say, and I get there's a lot of truth to it. It's like, oh, nobody can do it better than I can. Nobody can do it better than I can. That's true. Nobody will care about your business more than you. But once you start letting go of that, and I guess, putting more trust in people, people are going to make mistakes. But once you start trusting people to do the things that you can also do yourself, it's going to really help you scale your business and work things in a much more time efficient manner than you would ever be able to do by yourself.
Hmm. Hmm. Let me ask you this on the talk of growth. Are you surprised at all of how fast your business is growing and just the sheer speed of what arbitrage can do?
I honestly, yeah, well, I mean, I already had it in my head that I was going to make this go all in on, and I'll go all in on this, but the pace did kind of take me for surprise. This was very strategic. I mean, it wasn't, I had a plan. Some people, they'll take the profits, they'll enjoy life, a little bit. I'm more of a very aggressive approach. Up to now, I've taken very little profit. I'm just rolling the profits over into the next property month after month. I don't want to take profits yet because I'm still not to where I want to. I just want to
Hmm.
keep going. I mean, and the growth is fun. I'd be bored every day if I just took profits and just wasted it on fun stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
anybody can do that, right? But I want to build something that's something that's worth having, and it's, as they say, whatever's worth having is not easy, right? So
Right.
I've taken a more aggressive approach in that manner.
I think you had posted an update for our group internally, the private Facebook group, and I think just back in June you had already crossed 200,000 on the year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A lot of learning along the way for sure. But that was very, it was a very positive moment for me. And it was just kind of proof was in the pudding that the system does work as long as you're doing it properly and not being wasteful. it can give you what you want out of this business, just as long as you're willing to put in the work.
Amazing. Do you know close to what you're at today, as of today, past the busy season in terms of yearly revenue?
We're just over 300,000.
300,000.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were knocking doors 11 months ago, and in a matter of 10 months, you're at over $250,000 in revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. I was fortunate enough that I came from a very successful insurance agency. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still make money on my insurance agency. But it's a lot different, this kind of business. Whereas with insurance, I've knocked on thousands of doors, and it's, once you get the sale, it's always, you got to look for the next sale, right? Whereas you get a property, once you get that property, it's going to print money every single month. So it's a little bit different. Also, I would say acquiring a property and launching it is a lot easier than finding a really great insurance agent to put on my team, keeping them motivated, keeping them going out to make sales every day. That's a lot harder, like dealing with humans is a lot harder than, like motivating a property. You don't have to motivate a property, just as long as you manage it properly, it's going to print money. So it's a very different business dynamic for sure.
I cannot believe you just said that. Again, I've coached sales for many years. I've had teams about the 30 to 50 people at a time. And it's true. The number one biggest drain of your time, the one biggest use of resources is motivating them, keeping them up. Even the all-stars, they'll eventually go up and down. And I always thought it when I was doing sales back in the day, I was like, this has got to change. We're spending so much time motivating, retraining, recruiting, and because, highest turnover is sales. And that's why I love Airbnb too. It's like, I don't have to motivate this property. I get it up, I set it up right the first time, and it pays me every single month. I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah, it's very different, but it's something that I enjoy now for sure. Totally over the insurance business. So it's a blessing.
Well, to that point there, obviously we don't have to motivate our houses, but there is seasonality. So are you getting prepared for, you guys, I'm Canadian, but you guys are American. So you have obviously your guys' holiday season's coming up. Thanksgiving is absolutely huge. Football is religion in Texas. Are you seeing a slowdown at all?
As far as slowdown, I don't know if it's slowdown. I've seen a lot of people post in the group about slowdown. I mean, we've been over 90% occupancy up to now, and I wouldn't say the booking slowed because we stay booked. But what I have noticed is that the nightly rates tend to start going down. But if you have a solid pricing strategy, you'll still be able to fill occupancy even at a lower nightly rate. So, I mean, just some of the math that I've done is that just based on, how Airbnb has those insights, the insights tab.
Yep.
I mean, compared to similar listings, we're booking I believe it's like 44% more higher occupancy than like similar listings in the area. And just based on the nightly rate and the math, that's coming out to about $1,400 more revenue per month than the competition. So I would say as long as the pricing strategy is on point, then the occupancy, at least from where we are, we haven't really taken a hit. But again, this is my first full year. When I first started, I just got like the beginning of Thanksgiving, coming into Thanksgiving, getting those bookings. And then we saw a slowdown in around, I would say, February. But then once we got out of February, like things just started. That's really kind of when I started taking the pricing strategy a lot more serious, because of that slowdown, it was like, okay, there's got to be a way where I don't want to experience this again. So let me take a deeper dive into pricing, see what I'm missing. And I just kind of became a student of the pricing strategy that up to now has just really made a night and day difference.
I love that because the course itself has so much. And once your business starts, it's so easy to just dive into the business, do what's right. Are you solely just using the pricing strategy now, or have you started adding on any sort of pricing software?
Yes, so I have pricing software. And I guess one of the big misconceptions is that the pricing software is pricing strategy, which is not the case. It's not gonna really kind of adjust your prices. That's gonna optimize you the way your property, what your property could be doing. It's just simply a tool that allows me to identify lower demand days compared to regular and high demand days, and then adjusting my prices based on what that software is spitting back out at me. So, you know, if I see a day that's supposedly low demand in the market, then that's going to let me know that I can actually drop those prices down a little bit more aggressively to get them filled, rather than if I'm doing that to a high demand day, I don't really have to bring the prices down as much to fill it. But again, all of this changes, right? Like those rules change based on how your calendar fills, and how your calendar fills is also going to introduce, you know, different rule sets that you can implement to incentivize people to book longer stays and get your adjacent days booked as well. So, I mean, it goes much deeper than pricing software. But to answer the question, yeah, I use Price Labs, and you know, I know some people use Beyond and Wheelhouse, but I kind of learned Price Labs, and you know, with my knowledge on how to book the calendar based on what's filling in conjunction with Price Labs, then that's kind of, you know, been able to hold us steady at, you know, 85-90% plus occupancy throughout the months.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible what that one chapter, the pricing chapter, the fundamental basis of how you understand pricing on Airbnb, and then when you throw on the software, you actually understand how to use the software at a much higher level. Not sure if that's how the experience was for you.
Absolutely, no, I completely agree. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to talk about your most recent deal, because this one was an absolute cracker. So you got this newest one. I think it was 6 weeks of free rent, no deposit, washer and dryer included, I think it was,
Yes.
which I didn't know that was a thing in Texas, that you can rent places without the appliances, but yet here we are. And there was one other big thing. Let me just read the notes here. 0 security deposit, 6 months free, no security deposit, and you get the appliances. Let me start this off by, do a lot of rentals not include the washer and dryer?
Yeah, a lot of rentals do not include the washer and dryer. You know, the washer and dryer, it kind of varies from landlord to landlord. Sometimes if they have a tenant in the building that's, you know, just leaving, then they might keep the washer and dryer there. And you know, if they have the refrigerator also, that's even better, which this one also included. But yeah, that's kind of like a hit or miss thing. You can either find out on the phone if it has washer, dryer, refrigerator, or, you know, when you get there to the property, find out. But this one did, and I was able to get all of it with the free rent, and just present it in a way that, you know, he saw the benefit, I saw the benefit, and it just kind of worked out.
Incredible. How much would you say in total that value of those rental concessions in total was?
Let's see. Geez, so the rent's like 2,000, 2,000, 3,000, 3, 4, 5, probably close to $7,000 of value.
$7,000 of rental concessions. And is this a single family home or is it apartment?
It's a single family home. So all of my properties are single family home. I do want to get into apartments. It just seems like a different kind of challenge that it would be fun to take on. But I started off on the single family homes simply because, you know, in the courses, it just says, like, you know, landlords of single family homes are a little bit easier to pitch. And once I got those 3 and really learned those properties and started to develop a system to get them furnished and everything and launch them, you know, it was a familiar model to me. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna fix what's not broken. Let's just keep doing it. And then I just kept adding more and more as the months went by.
Yeah, that's great. I love how I would love to actually say how creative that you're using the program, because a lot of people, when they're first starting, they have these preconceived notions, right? They kind of have their mind in a box. And a lot of people, they may say, well, I don't want to go after single family homes because I can't get the rental concessions. And I think you've just completely shown how that's completely not true. And you just smashed that whole ideal completely out of the park.
Yeah, and that's I understand, especially, you know, coming from sales and working with other people who are coming into sales on my, you know, on my previous team in insurance, and is that you know, you'll have those people who will have these preconceptions about how a sale should go down, like, you know, let me memorize the script because I'm going to be able to, you know, say the script verbatim, and like it does not go down like that. You know, you go there, and all it is just a blueprint, right? It's just a blueprint. It gives you structure to base your conversation off of. And then just based on that, you're able to implement the underlying strategy behind the script that's going to get you the property, because you're dealing with humans, right? Humans, this is people, you know, you're not talking to robots. So, you know, these people, they act on emotions. So, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, it's the concept that it would help a lot of people, you know, further their business if they don't overthink it so much. And that's just people can fall into analysis paralysis, right? So
Very quickly.
A lot, but the thing for me is I've always been one. I realized that I kind of learned best through experience. So I've always been the type to just kind of, you know, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let me jump in the fire so I can, you know, fail at something, but not really a total failure, because at least from this, you know, quote unquote failure, I'm learning something along the way that I'm not going to make the same mistake in the future. So I kind of applied that same mentality to this business, and, you know, it's just kind of worked out for the better.
I love what you just said there, and I'd like to just parlay that into risk. A lot of people, before they even start an Airbnb, they always ask me, Donnie, well, I want to know the risk, and I want to make sure that nothing happens. What are your thoughts on risk on that? How do you calculate risk?
I'm very risk. I'm not very risk averse at all, and I would say some of the things that I have done in this business, I would not recommend, because some portions of it, I wouldn't say it's complete luck, but a lot of some of these deals I just jumped into with blind faith, simply because there wasn't too much, you know, market research, data points out there where I was acquiring these properties. Even Price Labs was spitting out recommended prices based on like my own prices, because there was no supply out there of hosts. They even the software couldn't gather enough data to give me a good recommendation. So, you know, just from the data that I gathered, just yesterday, actually, I was just kind of comparing my insights with the competition, right? Similar listings in the area. And I would say, you know, if you're trying to find a market just based on the market research, if I was doing solely that to make it the determining factor on whether I take the property or not, then I would have missed out on a lot of good deals, simply because what it spits back at you is the competition. Well, now knowing what I know, I'm crushing the competition. So it's not a fair apples to apples comparison. So if I'm looking at if the market is filled with mediocre listings, then if I'm doing the market research, looking at mediocre listings, expecting to get mediocre results, then it's not really a fair comparison, right? Like now I can just kind of see it, and yeah, that's maybe the average, but knowing what we know, especially in this community, we shouldn't really kind of base our decisions solely on what the average host is doing, because we can do so much better than that.
Right. I love that. You had said that obviously you're not very risk adverse, but at the same time, you're very resourceful. And I've seen you lots, especially in the community, when you get stuck on really peculiar questions and you reach out to the community. I think there was one where something to do with a guest cancellation. Do you remember that? Or more importantly, how are you using the community to really navigate you through these curveballs that the business throws at you?
Well, yeah, okay. So with the community, I mean, I feel no reservations about posting a question if I have one. However, what's been, I would say, one of the biggest resources for me is the weekly calls. And even though I'm not 100% beginner at this point, you know, even the weekly calls, there's always some nugget of knowledge in there that I'm able to grab and just kind of implement into my own business. You know, one of the things, I guess, I'm trying to think with trying to think of an example actually. Hmm. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've posted questions in there before. I post a lot of questions in there because I'm still learning. But yeah, I mean, if you have a question, a lot of times people will not post a question because they think it's too beginner or too low level for the group, you know. But I'll say, hey, you know, why not? Like, this is what we're all here for. We're all here to learn. So, like I said, I'll still have no reservations about posting a dumb question if I have one.
Fantastic. Where are you taking the business now? You know, you're accelerating fast. You got this great portfolio. You're outperforming the market. What's next for you?
Uh, I would say I want to take on an apartment building. You know, maybe 5, 10 doors to start off. If that goes well, then, you know, hopefully, if that is a really high performing building, then, you know, hopefully take on most of the building. Whatever vacancies come up, you know, if I build a good relationship with the property, then yeah, that would be the next step. But what's really been kind of on my mind the past couple days is building systems, even more complex systems that kind of, I wouldn't say remove me completely, but takes a lot of the day-to-day stuff out of my hands. Because even now, still, I still deal with a lot of the inquiries. I had 2 property managers that I had hired a couple months ago. I ended up getting rid of both of them simply because they weren't doing their job. So finding more people to work with to be able to kind of automate more of the day-to-day things, answering guest inquiries, emptying out garbage at the properties, being able to address problems. Like yesterday, for example, I had the internet go out at one of my properties. Usually this is something that I would assign my property manager to, you know, go address. But this happened at, like, I don't know, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and
Mhm.
they needed internet. And I tried to sign into my online account, reset the modem, the connection through the online login, still wasn't able to resolve the issue. And, you know, a lot of times it's something simple. I went there and I said, did you try resetting the modem? We did a little FaceTime. Yeah, unplug it, replug it. I get to the property, the modem is plugged in, but the router was unplugged, sitting on the floor. And it's like those little simple things, you know, that the guests will miss. That's such an easy fix that kind of, it takes time out of my free time of the
Mhm.
day. And, you know, it's just being able to implement systems. I think that's kind of my biggest next step is I'm looking into implementing systems that kind of, you know, like I said, automates more of the day-to-day stuff. Finding good people to hire as a property manager, and just kind of take care of those things that doesn't necessarily needs my direct helping hand to resolve those issues.
Further keeping you working on the business instead of working in the business.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I'm just curious, you know, you have such a robust team, it sounds like already, especially with the startup. Who else do you have in your team?
Well, right now, let's see. I have my assembly guys. I have an electrician who handles all my HVAC stuff. I have, of course, my cleaners, um, my lawn team, because, you know, I have single family houses. I got, you know, guys cutting my grass at all the properties. They come every 2 weeks. And a lot of times, thankfully, some of those people serve dual functions as well. Like, I have a cleaner who's also a handyman, and then
Wow, the
the guy,
ultimate.
yeah, the guys on my lawn team, they can also do plumbing. And my HVAC guy is separate though. He's like kind of, you know, his own thing. But
Mhm.
that, I would say that's a really important aspect of the business. If you don't have a good team, building a good team is going to make your life so much easier in this business. If you don't have a good team, you're going to be going crazy trying to fix everything yourself. You're going to lose money, you're going to lose time, lose money, and it's the thing that can really turn this business from a nightmare to a complete pleasure in running. And yeah, if you don't have a good team, oh, hats off to you. I feel sorry for you.
I want to take exactly this perfect opportunity to talk to hosts who are watching this. And if you're already a host, if you're already running a business and you'd like to see if a strategy called working with Sean is right for you, book a strategy call with myself. We can walk you through your business. We can really tear it apart and we can go over a lot of the inner workings of exactly what me and Roger are talking about. And Alberta's going to put the link right over there for those. Tuning back in, Roger, we got a question from the group. And they're asking, it's Mary asking, is it easier to get single family homes? And I'm going to guess and say she's talking about in terms of pitching.
I would say yes, because with the single family homes, you cut out a lot of the middlemen. You talk directly to the owner, whereas when you're pitching it in an apartment complex, you're talking to a leasing agent, and especially if they have a corporate side as well, you know, a lot of times they have to get back with their property manager or even owner of the building, and they may not, they may have a separate corporate lease that you have to go through, and then, you know, that's a completely different process. So it's a different process. But what makes it easier with single family landlords is that you're cutting out a lot of the middlemen. You're getting the answer directly from the decision maker, which in my opinion is, yeah, I mean, it's an easier process for sure.
There you go, Mary. Okay, she actually followed it up. Is it doable in this market, arbitrage versus apartments versus homes? Well, Mary, if you can, just throw us what market you're in. And while we're at it, Roger, which market are you in?
I'm in the Dallas market. I live in Plano, just north of Dallas. And the market, I mean, I think if you're a great host, you will make it in a lot of markets, even markets that are not so, I guess, you know, quote unquote desirable. If you're a great host, then you're gonna do well. You know, I hear a lot of people saying Houston is very oversaturated, but you know, I can bet you that there's a lot of people in Houston also killing it as well. So I mean, if you're a great host, you're a great host. If you haven't done your homework, then it's going to be dangerous for you in any market.
I love that.
If you're not going to do the work, it's going to be dangerous for you in any market. So it is what it is.
What would you tell a brand new person who's just thinking about getting in the market, who is that very risk tolerant, or sorry, I should say very risk adverse, the opposite of you and myself? What is the best advice you'd give them to get started?
Best advice, I would just say, do your homework. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. You know, we all make mistakes. We learn from mistakes. Do your homework, and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's new. You know, people don't like change, but if you kind of really get over that part, you'll see this business doesn't have to be as hard as it looks. It's really not. Yeah, just have a student mindset, a student mentality, and just absorb as much as you can. But more importantly, execute on what you've absorbed. If you don't execute, all the knowledge in the world is not going to help. So absorb knowledge and then execution.
Great advice. Great advice. I could imagine that because you have, 4-bedroom, larger single family homes, you would get interest from the corporate clients. Are you getting a lot of corporate clientele?
What I've noticed is that we actually get a lot of people who are renovating their houses, remodels. I just received a direct booking from a guy who booked for like, it was like 40 nights. It was for $8,000. And these people who need remodeling their houses, insurance companies like fire restoration, water restoration, these people who are displaced out of their homes because some type of insurance claim, we get those as well. And I mean, we get a good mix of everything, but I wouldn't say it's I'm noticing one more so than the other. It's a pretty good mix.
Yeah, I get the same thing of exactly those. Get lots of restorations, or sometimes they sold their house and they just don't they don't know what to make a move yet. They're kind of waiting on the market, or
Yeah.
just like what you said, insurance relocations, lots of those. Yeah, lots of those. Awesome. Well, Roger, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to ask you one last question before we let you go here. And well, let me cue this up. um, you said direct bookings. That's what I was thinking of. Do you have what is your avenue? How are you capturing direct bookings right now?
Direct booking. So these are the last couple direct bookings I've had, not from my own actions. It actually happened through people who booked me on Airbnb, saved my contact information, and then reached back out to me to book with me again because they liked staying
Nice.
in the property. So I actually did buy a direct booking book. I haven't gotten through it yet. It's the one by Mark Simpson, the
Yep.
direct book
The
direct.
playbook.
Yeah. So I'm getting through that one right now, but going forward, I would definitely like to see some more direct bookings. It's just you don't have to pay like the commissions for the middleman of Airbnb or
For
VRBO or
sure.
whatever. I think that's going to be an interesting avenue for us to garner more revenue in the future for sure. That's something that we're taking a hard look at.
Absolutely. I've actually taken a call with the Boostly team. I likely going to go with them for my direct booking website. So I'll connect with you offline, and we'll stay in touch here with the
Sounds
journey.
good. Looking forward to that.
Speaking of which, how can people find you? How can people find you for advice or just to tune in and see what you're doing?
There's not very many ways. I'm not too big on social media. I just find it distracts me from getting work done. So you can find me on Facebook, Roger Chan. I'm in both groups, the Cracking Superhost and the host of Airbnb Automated. I guess that would be the best way to reach me because I'm not really too much on other social media. I probably should, I know, but no, I just Facebook.
Hey, it is what it is. Awesome. Well, Roger, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your day to come join us and shed some light, not just on your business, but business in general. And of course, the potential of short-term rentals. I think you're just a shining example of exactly what can happen if you just do the work. If you just pay attention, do the work, and just, boots to the ground and get it going. So thank you again. For those guests who are joining us here today, thank you for joining us on the show. If you are thinking about joining on Airbnb and you'd like to hear about a little bit more strategy, you should join us for a strategy call, and we can see if this is a right fit for you. We can guide you in the right way. We got a lot of tools we can send you. And of course, if you are thinking about working with Sean directly, we can explain to you how that works as well. Thanks for joining us here today, guys, on the show. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.